Good afternoon, everyone. The largest challenge in the history of China. More floodwaters on the way. Above the Three Gorges Dam, these are the rivers discharging into the reservoir. Below the dam at Three Gorges and Yichang, they're flooding everything in the countryside. Now it's getting into expensive high-dollar homes. They're really angry. This entire map here that you see is a full flood zone, letting so much water to prevent overtopping that it's now the infrastructure on these 8-lane highways is being eroded. Talk about crop losses before and after. These are purposeful floods before and after. Wherever the central government can drain water, their cadres are forcing the floods into these places. Villagers are now understanding they're going to lose the entire year's crop. They're getting whatever they can. There's not warnings going out. Most times they're flooded in the middle of the night. The citizens and farmers, there's a huge momentum shift right now. This is the pivotal point where the CCP lost control. You're forbidden from talking about the floods on social media or how the help is not forthcoming, just more floods are. Now the locusts have made it from western China over to eastern China because these insects can fly above the floodwaters. A new bill in Washington is trying to invade your privacy. It's called the Lawful Access to Encrypted Data Act. If passed, this will be the end of warrant-proof encryption, meaning you and I won't have privacy from the government, even your own private encrypted data. Let me show you how it works. You can head over to virtualshield.com, and in the Download tab, I'm going to choose Firefox. And click Install Now to add the Virtual Shield add-on. It's just that easy. And get started with your free 30-day trial. Install it, click Connect. You'll see the shield turn from red to green, and you'll see how from my initial service provider I was able to even change my IP. Virtual Shield Network protected. And during the month of July, Virtual Shield wants to offer 50% off all VPN plans because more of us than ever are working from our homes. The link's in the description box below. And more floodwaters continue to pound the Yangtze River Basin all the way from Chongqing and further west, continuing to flood now what is considered more remote valley areas. There's even more water in flood number 4 coming than all the others previously in it. This will be the test for the dams further downstream. Because still looking upstream in Jinshi County, these are what the small irrigation canals look like further upstream, flooded. Now this map is not really doing it justice as to where the floods are. Where you see red is fully inundated by water and evacuations. Where we see the orange, the yellow, and the blue alerts, a little late and way conservative on this. The entire area that you see on this map is flooded. You know, in the beginning, it was just the farm towns, and their CCP was willing to sacrifice the country people because they can't complain. They don't have lawyers, they don't have money, and they were the sacrificial lambs. But now it's starting to get into the high-dollar homes and the people who do have money that are very angry. You see that telephone pole? That's how deep the water is being unleashed. Those are second-floor balconies right there into the expensive homes. And as you start to look at the new floods where they're unleashing unannounced everywhere, it's upper middle class China being wiped out and people fleeing with a handful of goods to avoid drowning. This is the game changer. They're willing to sacrifice half of the country and the people so they can stay in power, the CCP. This is over in Guilin, Yangshuo. This is a famous tourist area. So the floods all the way in central are now connecting down south. So there's going to be a runaway effect on the rice fields further south as well. The two flood basins have now connected. That's how wide-ranging these floods are. Usually they're kept separated, but now because of the most massive floods in at least 400 years, everywhere is feet underwater. The problem is the floodwaters are rising so fast. As you see here, this first floor completely covered. People are getting stuck in there. Emergency rescues out. Okay, that's countryside, but now so much floodwater is being unleashed. This is an 8-lane highway, and you see between where there's a river running under it, that's the water that's jumping up onto the express roadway from beneath. And it sure looks like there's going to be massive loss of huge infrastructure. Because what they're seeing now flowing out of these upper reaches in these tiny little streams are massive waterfalls like this. Normally that'd be a straight down little pencil thin waterfall that people would go view. Anhui seems to be leading the charge of angry citizens against the Central Party right now. That's all farm fields you're looking at. There is a drainage contained river in there somewhere where the water is usually released to, not into the fields. But it's so vast and all-encompassing here. Even though I've done a couple videos on it, these images are still so startling that as far as you can see in valleys and flatlands, it's just water and more water and more water. But what we didn't see last time were the more expensive homes being inundated. But the farmland, at least the CCP thinks they can go buy food on the international market to make up for what they're flooding. They also want to be considered the saviors as they come in and help people, although this is the problem. They're not on the ground helping people. The help has just disappeared, basically. Now back up to the factories and special economic zones, manufacturing, waterfront areas inundated as well, so any personal protective equipment, that kind of thing coming out of China is going to be hugely delayed. And the CCP came out and said there was only 100,000 acres of farm flooded during this whole event so far, which is just boggles my mind because this is one snapshot of one field area before and after. And they have the audacity to say that only 100,000 acres are flooded? Are you kidding me? Look at this vast area here. They blew the levees so the water would not overtop further into other areas downstream. And all you're seeing is flooded agricultural area after flooded agricultural area after before and after images that all resonate with the exact same thing. Now, the Netzians in China are starting to write and go, wait a second, there's no help. We can't talk about the shortages of you and the CCP not helping us. All you're doing is flooding more. And now everybody knows everybody in China that's been flooded. There's not one person in China that now doesn't know another person in China that's being affected by the floods. That's how vast it is. So of course, they're trying to control online what people are talking about. They're going to have to turn off their entire firewalled internet because this is the discussion. You got guys coming on boats with the police. This is the level it's going to. This is unbelievable. Police arriving on a boat to tell you delete your social media post. Yet they leave the people stranded in their buildings. They've gone too far this time. They've lost the plot and people understand it. CCP, in my personal opinion, this is it. They've collapsed because there's no more respect of the authority given to them. You got these villagers rushing to now harvest crops. They understand the game now. You get it now or you're done, whatever happens. And this brave gentleman here comes out on a full tirade saying, you purposely flooded our fields. What about my fees for the contract on my 50 acres? What about my seeds? What about the herbicides, my labor fees? The taxes I pay to you, the government, to keep my land. And he went off. It's a great rant, and it's all subtitled for you. And at the end of it, he's like, what am I going to do? I spent all my investment money to get this 50 acres of rice up for you, the people in China, to eat, and now it's completely flooded. Now what? And this is the attitude, and this is the flip and change of the poorest to the richest. They're all turning on the party now because they see there's no help, and they're being sacrificed. More floods inbound in the lower reaches of the Yangtze River, and then we come the locusts. The locusts plague worsens. And this is the type of yellow bamboo locust that had come from Laos, inundating crops. And now it's so vast that you can see it from the air. And these are the new regions that are reporting these yellow bamboo locusts that have flown from the west over the floodwaters, and they're everywhere now. When you have this many in a single shot and you can actually capture them, that's a lot of locusts, because I've been covering locusts for a fair few years, and to get these kind of shots, you need incredibly dense swarms of them to stick out against the background to get these pictures. In its current form, I think what we've seen, as the rest of the world, there was an old world, now we're entering a new world. China is now experiencing the same. There was the old CCP and power structure of the Communist Party, which is now diminishing or going to totally evaporate, and something else will take its place, because what is happening now, they have lost the authority to rule the country. And I understand why. There's going to be a huge change in that government. It's possible the country could break up into its previous historical regions, Southwest region, just like we have in the United States. Southeast region, they have a Southwest region over there with Chongqing, Yunnan, and Sichuan province. Or the old capital cities, they were there provincially as well. We're going to see massive, vast changes in China happening because of these floods. But it's right on time for the grand solar minimum timelines of the crop losses, the world food shortages, the shifts in government, which I also talk about on my Patreon channel /Adapt2030. I do thank you for watching. Hope you got something out of the video, and I'll see you next time.